going to give the inside scoop about these luxury brands. So, what is luxury to you? I wouldn't say, to me, luxury is just something that's on another level of comfort, something that I wouldn't usually have on a daily basis. That's what luxury is to me. But luxury to me is not being expensive, it's just expensive. So let's see what China got to say.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me in another video. So today we're going to be talking about China. We're going to be talking about how a lot of luxury brands are made in China, as well as how this relates to the whole trade war situation. China is really not backing down. And an outcome of this on social media, it has been revealed, I think many people have known that many products have been made, luxury products specifically, have been made in China, but now it's really being revealed on social
Mm,
media.
mm,
So
mm.
this from MSN via Independent Online. Quote, an online firestorm is erupting on Chinese social media platforms as creators and influencers expose luxury American brands that claim, quote, made in USA while quietly mass producing goods in Chinese factories, all in response to Donald Trump's latest tariff hikes. President Trump has threatened to impose up to 125% on all Chinese imports. However, China isn't staying silent. Online platforms, including TikTok, are now flooded with videos of Chinese factory workers revealing the origins of big name items from Michael Kors handbags to Coach purses and even Levi's jeans, all supposedly American made. Now, I think a lot of consumers know that Michael Kors, Coach, Levi's, a lot of these products are made outside of the United States. Many of them are actually made in China. But I think it is a reminder to many that a lot of the products that people enjoy do come from China and a lot of countries that have been caught up in this trade war. But what I'm also seeing with a lot of these TikToks, it's not just limited to American brands, it's extended to European brands, European luxury brands. Well, a lot of these brands that we know and love, many of them are, quote, made in Italy, France, Spain, Portugal. Some I think are a little bit more transparent than others. I think like Prada has
Thanks
openly
for
stated that
tuning
some of their
in.
products are made in China, as well as Balenciaga. Some of their products have been made in China. So some brands are a little bit more transparent. But what is being revealed in a lot of these TikToks is how a lot of these products, many of
Feel
them
free to
claim to be
comment.
made in
Let's
Italy,
have a
France,
good
etc. A lot
conversation.
of them are actually made in China. Then the branding or other finishes, other parts of the product are finished in Europe, at least according to a lot of these TikToks. There is a TikTok which explains how a lot of Dior's ready to wear, specifically the knitwear, is made in China. And you still don't know who are the suppliers behind Dior? Their knitwears and cardigans are from Beyond Garments from Hangzhou. Beyond Garments is also a supplier behind many luxury brands from America and Europe, like Sandra, Mudge, Versace. Second, most of the Dior's cosmetic products are actually produced by Taiho Group, which is also the supplier behind Lancome and Loewe. Third, 24-hour packaging technology from Shenzhen provides exquisite packaging and bags for Dior. And of course, last year it was revealed that Dior had allegedly, through third parties, their bags had been made in like sweatshop like conditions. Allegedly, I need to
Happy
state that
Tuesday.
here.
Thanks
Of
for
course, what I'm
joining.
referencing in this video are TikToks I'm seeing. I'll have everything linked down below. Again, it's alleged. I'm no authority on information like this. I'm just a YouTuber that likes to talk about handbags at the end of the day. Okay? And of course, this topic is related to handbags, so I'm going to talk about it. But I'll link everything down below. As what is being revealed on social media, many of these brands are made in China. But what I also think is interesting as I'm watching a lot of these TikToks is they'll give you the spiel of how a lot of these products, they are made in these factories in China, and this is the name of the factory. But then it's like an advertisement for these factories. So this is where these products are being made, which is incredibly fascinating to see and to know. But as I'm hearing these TikToks, it is kind of the same language I would hear if I was like watching TikToks on like dupes or like go buy a fake by this brand. Quote, rebel against the system because you don't need to pay the markup. Go directly to the source. Italy, Gucci, 80% come from Chinese factory. They just add the logo in Europe to make you pay the price of 10 times.
close your eyes. If your hammer says made in China, does it feel cheaper? No, that's not quality issue. It's luxury brand washing. Fun fact,
Mm.
hand stitching your product, 42% are Chinese artisans. We don't do cheap, we do underrated luxury. Why pay 2,000 euro for Parisian air? Same leather, same craft, just without the European fairy tale facts. Be a luxury rebel. You can shop on Chinese platforms such as Taobao, 1688, Tianmao, Jingdong. You can even go directly to Guangzhou, Yiwu, Quanzhou, Wenzhou to buy.
Y'all, thanks for tuning in to the live.
Delivery, just PM me. GoNest to provide free shopping guidance and shipping services for you.
So in many ways, these factories are advertising these products to Americans or to other parts of the world to potentially buy from them directly. A similar instance, it's not quite the same thing, but there's a TikTok explaining how at one of these factories, they use the same leathers that Hermes uses, the materials, the threads, the hardware, but they're going to sell you that bag at a fraction. Now, of course, they don't have the same Hermes trained artisans, but you hear how many love Hermes because the materials, the leathers, the colors, the hardware, etc. Of course, there's the side of these bags. A lot of people feel like they come with a certain kind of status, but you can get this bag, the look of it at least, the material, the feel, maybe not 100% the same artisanal craftsmanship, but these TikToks argue these bags are very, very close. But overall, a lot of these TikToks are claiming a lot of these products, these luxury branded products from many of these major brands, Gucci, Dior, a lot of them are actually made in these factories. Parts may be finished in Europe, but that's why there is this argument in favor of dupes, of fakes. A lot of the fakes, a lot of the dupes are being produced in these exact same factories. So you're hearing this whole argument of you should just buy the replica, you should just buy the dupe or whatever.
Okay, now we're gonna pause there for a minute. How many of y'all out there have high-end bags? I got my hand up. I bought them directly from the boutiques. But here's the thing. I only purchase things like that when I want to celebrate something huge that I have accomplished. But let me tell you this. I been knew a long time ago that products is made everywhere besides America. And everything come from China for the most part. Don't you dare think anything come from America. And actually, no one could really, there's no such thing as real and fake. If it say Louis Vuitton, it's Louis Vuitton. I mean, and plus, it's just a name. And their name don't make me. Okay? Do the name make you? No, it does not. Okay, let's finish.
They take almost finished bags from China factories back to their own factories and just do the repackaging and logo installing.
Another video has emerged discussing Birkenstocks being made in China. Now, I personally really enjoy Birkenstocks, but many people are disputing these claims because Birkenstocks are made in Germany. Now, one thing about Birkenstocks, it was also a brand that has been recently acquired by LVMH, or some branch of LVMH, which also owns Dior, Louis Vuitton, etc. Many of the brands that a lot of these videos are claiming most of their products are pretty much made in China. But a lot of people are saying that this certain video, it's likely that what is being sold here are fakes or dupes because Birkenstocks are supposed to at least be made in Germany. And I think that's what's happening here. It's really hard to know. I don't think a lot of these brands are 100% transparent about the case with the sweatshops in Italy. But I was honestly thinking, as somebody that really enjoys Birkenstocks, do I really mind if these are made in China? And to me, I just think, is the quality still there? I think another important question I have, are these workers being treated fairly, which is really hard to know. Are there human rights abuses? Also, when we're thinking about a lot of these luxury brands, how much is the markup? Just because something is made in Italy doesn't warrant it being 10 times the price of, say, a brand like Coach, which is a lot more fair in terms of their pricing, but they're more open about their products being made in China, Vietnam, Indonesia, places like that. But is a Dior bag better because it's made in Italy? And what if the conditions in Italy, what if they are working in sweatshop-like conditions? On the flip side, what if workers in China, what if they have better working conditions than the workers in Italy? And I think that's what a lot of these videos are making us question, where we buy our luxury goods from, as well as many of them end with a click this link or go here to find this product. Personally, I don't have an interest in buying a $200 luxury branded dupe version or supposedly like same bag from the same factory, or $6 leggings. I do think this is really just another way to get consumers to continue to consume during the trade war. But I do think it
Okay,
does
so
hinge on
let's have a conversation. What is luxury to you? Those of you that's on, let's have a conversation. Well, I wanted to show y'all the videos that is coming out regarding all of these luxury brands. So that's why I had my camera towards the computer, so you can understand what the live is about. So anyway, when Trump puts these tariffs, he's putting tariffs on everything. The United States is done because, first of all, nothing has ever been made in the United States. Not just your clothing, but even your food. It comes from somewhere else. Now, back in the day, okay, I'm 54. Back in the day, like in the 70s and farther back, our people planted their own food. We grew our own food. But somewhere down the line, then the government stopped people from planting their own food. My grandmother had fruit trees and a garden too. And guess what? My grandmother lived to be over 100 years old. So it's a big difference between us planting our own food opposed to somebody else planting and growing it and you got to ship it back in. Okay, let's go back.
I really thought it was great. I was able to do a small business, get this straight from the source. It was obtained ethically. There's no middleman. Of course, it's not branded, but I was really happy with the price I paid for these. I was thinking about how at one point I was thinking of going to some expensive brand to get something like 10 or 20 times the price, made with smaller stones. Of course, it doesn't have the same luxury name, but it's in the design and materials I wanted. That's just been something I've been thinking about a lot more recently, design and materials over the luxury brand. There are still some things I do enjoy that are luxury items, like I'm always going to love a cashmere sweater or a coat because not only is it a lot warmer than other wools, it's also a lot more lightweight. I just also don't like to buy like polyplastic like looking wool sweaters from cheaper brands. Like I know I can probably get the look for less, but again, it's like the materials as well as the aesthetic. But even nowadays, a lot of luxury
Thanks for
brands
tuning
use
in.
100% cashmere, and a lot of them are using like more poly blends, or you don't even know what kind of wool or material they're actually using. But I have, for instance, this really great Laura Piana sweater that I bought pre-loved. It feels amazing. I love the material. The design is really nice. And I got it pre-loved, purchased it in person, and I was able to touch and feel the product, try it on. And another point related, I'm not gonna like rule out buying from China. I do think there is currently this attempt to be very anti-China right now. But if I think about something like cashmere, it comes mainly from China, Mongolia, that region. And that's where cashmere goats come from. For a cashmere sweater, as long as it's like a design and material shade I like, you could go to a brand like Lisa Yang. I'm not going to be able to get 100% cashmere sweater from Canada. But then on the flip side, for something like winter coats, made with goose feathers. That's something I'm happy to buy Canadian, which is what I've always done. I also just need to know that a coat is able to withstand certain temperatures. So I'm also thinking about what brands specialize in certain products.
Okay, now let's talk about okay, let's talk about fabrics. Just like you just talked about cashmere. I love cashmere. I love cashmere. Now, each brand, their price of cashmere is different. Now, I could get a cashmere, and I do have a piece of cashmere. And I don't forgot the brand name that it is. But another brand could have that same jacket that's cashmere and it costs more. So why is that? Is it more luxurious? I wouldn't say.
That's what is being advertised here, right? They're also wanting to sell to Americans or the rest of the world what they're able to offer, right? Are there possible labor conditions? Very likely, but we know in Europe, at least with some of these sweatshops, that also happens there. In America, I was just reading about how they're gonna lift child labor laws in Florida. I think with this whole tariff situation, it would have been great if it could have been from this point of view, from this perspective of wanting to advance labor conditions, certain labor laws. That's not really been, unfortunately, the focus of this trade war. I think overall, for me personally, with the tariff situation, it just made me feel very uncertain. I think this year I don't want to spend thousands of dollars on handbags, but nor do I want to buy like $100 dupes either. I don't want to buy $6 leggings. I think, if anything, what it has made me think about is looking locally first. But I know that I can't get everything from Canada. I know that there's likely things I'll have to get in China or Europe or wherever. But I do think it's making me look at things in Canada or pre-look. But yes, that's my video for today. I would love to know your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining me in another one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.
Okay, let's see what the next one got to say.
This is Chanel's medium 2.55 leather flat bag. In 2019, it was priced at $5,800, but in 2025, they're selling it for $10,800.
Damn.
That's an 86% increase. Now, before I jump to the obvious, it's not just because of inflation. You think I brought you all the way to Fifth Avenue to talk about inflation? Luxury brands like Chanel, Kering, and LVMH used to have it all in the bag, raising prices annually and still seeing huge demand in sales. But in 2025, they're clutching their pearls and feeling an emptiness in their designer wallets. The luxury industry lost 50 million consumers in the past 2 years, and only 1/3 of the luxury goods industry is actually growing. But with at least 58 million households around the world making over $1 million in 2023, there are plenty of people who can afford these products. So why aren't they buying? I sifted through years of luxury brand sales data and product price histories, researched the global luxury market, and spoke with a fashion industry expert to find out. What I learned is that there's not a simple, ironed out answer. But there are a few reasons why these luxury brands are falling, most of which were completely avoidable. Okay, we all know supply and demand, right? As supply goes up, demand goes down, and typically so do prices and vice versa. That's all I got in my econ class. But historically, luxury goods turn that equation on its head. This is Thorstein Veblen, an American economist who invented what's known as the Veblen goods curve. His curve shows that as prices increase, demand increases. And that sounds delusional, but in the world of luxury handbags and fashion, it's right on the money. See, Veblen goods consumers appreciate the high price. Instead of a detraction, it's seen as a worthwhile premium to ensure that the goods are rare and high quality. That's what keeps them buying. And luxury fashion sales, aka any wearable luxury goods, have been steadily increasing for the most part, with just a few speed bumps that you might have heard of, the 2008 recession and COVID. But after that initial COVID slowdown, everything picked right back up. Analysts chalk this up to revenge spending, which usually happens after a major economic event. First, COVID happened and consumer spending declined. Then, household savings went up over time. And lastly, with the economy recovering and a whole lot of disposable income saved up, not to mention a whole lot of trauma and boredom, consumers were buying willy-nilly, aka revenge spending. As a result of that spending, the demand for these goods rebounded in 2021 and then soared.
There was that whole nobody can leave their houses, and usually what people did was they bought stuff online. They bought a lot of stuff.
And this time, luxury goods did behave like you'd expect on a typical supply and demand curve. When demand shot up, retailers raised their prices. But after demand stabilized in 2021, there was an unprecedented increase in the price of luxury fashion. So being put off by this, consumers slowed their spending in the US and another essential luxury market, China. There are several factors at play here, all of which help explain why the luxury brand market looks so torn up today. First, coming out of COVID, consumer spending habits changed. In the US, young consumers led the charge in buying second-hand goods. And that movement, although tough to attribute to just one thing, was likely a combo of a shift to sustainable fashion, cheaper clothes, and sometimes higher quality, aka vintage, the kids love it. In 2023, the second-hand luxury market hit $47 billion, up 4% from 2022, largely thanks to Gen Z.
Okay, y'all. So let's get this conversation popping. Y'all see that? That's my brand right there. Chick Babes and Fur Baby Boutique.myshopify.com. Happy what? Tuesday.